Hey, what's up guys? Rideshare guy here, and today I've got a video for you about how to handle an accident while driving for Uber. Now, obviously this is not something that you want to run into, but accidents do happen, right? If you guys are out there driving for any length or period of time, you're going to be more and more likely to get into an accident no matter how good of a driver you think you are. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how this coverage works, like how you should handle these situations. And honestly though, before you ever get into an accident, I think dash cams can be lifesavers, especially if you're a good driver, at least you think you are, right? A dash cam is going to serve to prove the other person was at fault or whatever it may be, because accidents do happen and sometimes they're beyond your control. So the first thing you guys got to understand is how the insurance coverage with Uber works. So they split it up into three periods, right? Period 1, 2, and 3. Period 1 occurs when you log into the app, right? So when you're sitting there, you go online and you're waiting for a request, that's called period 1. So you could be sitting on your couch at home, you could be parked in a parking lot, or you could be driving around looking for a ride, which I don't typically recommend. Period 2 starts the second that you accept a request, right? And now you're en route to a passenger. Once you arrive and the passenger gets into your car, that's period 3. Now Uber actually, then you go and do the trip, obviously. The trip ends once the passenger gets out of the vehicle, right? And then you go back into period 1. So period 2 and 3 are when Uber provides $1 million in liability coverage, and they also provide collision coverage. But period 1 is where this little bit of a gap exists, right? And we'll get into that a little more. So that's kind of an overview of how it works. Like I said, in that period 1, that's where you're going to want something like a rideshare insurance product to cover you, because Uber doesn't provide collision during period 1, and they do provide liability, but it's at much lower limits. So let's say you're out driving though for Uber and you do get into an accident, right? Regardless of what happens, you're always going to want to stay calm, right? I'm talking about literally as soon as the accident happens, stay calm, right? The first few minutes are super crucial to make sure that you get all the basic information down. What happened? Take a picture of their license plate with your phone. Take a picture of the damage. Take a picture of the driver's actual license and insurance information when you're exchanging info. I mean, you really want to document as much as you can with your phone, taking pictures. I like to even record voice memos too. That's one thing that always helps me, and I think that can really help in the situation of an accident. Because, first of all, I mean, if you're not okay, I guess I should have prefaced this with, if you're not okay, obviously call 911 and kind of handle that. But if it's just a fender bender or something like that, you kind of want to go through all these steps. Now, if you are on a trip with Uber, you're actually going to provide Uber's insurance information, which can be found on the waybill of the app. It's sort of in the options when you're on a trip. Now, if it was during periods 2 or 3, like I said, Uber will cover you for that $1 million of liability insurance and collision if it was $1,000 deductible. If it was period 1, Uber will cover you at lower liability limits, but no collision coverage, right? So if there's damage to your vehicle and you get into an accident during period 1, Uber will not provide any coverage. And that's where rideshare insurance can really help, because if you get into an accident during period 1 and you don't have rideshare insurance, not only will Uber not provide any collision, but your personal insurer won't provide any coverage during period 1 because you were technically online for Uber, right? That's sort of this gray area, and that's where rideshare insurance can come in handy. So we have a list of options you guys can go check out and get a quote if you're interested, but that's sort of the risk that you're running without that rideshare insurance. So let's say you do that though, right? And you kind of submit Uber's insurance, you trade your Uber's insurance information with the other party. Now you're sort of waiting and seeing what's going to happen, right? You can reach out to Uber. You probably want to let them know that you got into an accident. What's going to happen next though is they're probably going to deactivate you, or they will deactivate you temporarily until you can show evidence that you've gotten your car fixed, right? But they'll also start a claim with their insurance company, which is called James Rivers Insurance Company. From here, it's just like a standard insurance claim, but it's important to really stay on top of these guys and really kind of keep following up, because as you know, if you've ever dealt with insurance companies, they're not going to care about your car or your situation as much as you do. And if you depend on your car to make money, you're going to be temporarily deactivated, remember, with Uber until you get your car fixed, right? So it's really up to you to stay on top of Uber. Make sure that they start the claim with James Rivers. Make sure that James Rivers is sending out the insurance adjuster and going through that whole process. So since you don't have a car, right, obviously you can't make any money. So you want to get back into your car and get back on the road as fast as possible. And Uber's insurance actually doesn't provide a rental car or anything like that. But you could always go through the other person's insurance to try and get a rental car and recover lost wages. So that's always your other option, and that could be beneficial, especially if the other person was at fault, going through the other person's insurance, because they'll be responsible for covering it. Now, obviously, getting into an accident can be expensive, and it's obviously an unfortunate situation, whether you're at fault or not. But there's the towing, there's kind of the rental cars and deductibles and all that involved. So it's definitely important through this situation to track all your expenses with an app like QuickBooks Self-Employed. You can actually take pictures of all your receipts, all your expenses too, and categorize all your transactions. And if the other person is at fault and you do plan to go after lost wages, and I do know several drivers who've been able to show pay statements and things like that and get lost wages in the event of an accident through the other person's insurance, the more official your records are, right? If you're using something like QBSE and you can show all of your profit and loss and your income and expenses, the better chance you're going to have of getting money out of that insurance company, right, while your car is out of commission. So a lot of drivers use apps like QBSE to track their earnings and expenses, but this is obviously one example of where it can actually make you some money while your car is out of commission. So if you guys like this video, definitely feel free to give me a little thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, definitely leave them below, and I'll definitely reach out and respond to you in the comments. So take care, and look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Bye-bye.